Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, my name's Gabriel. This is Curious Sports Pulse here with the afternoon show. Provide the spark. We will see. There are some guests in the line in line to join us, but heavy football show today. Why? It's OTAs. There's a lot going on. I think some stories deserve a little bit of a deeper dive. We're going to ignore some of the nonsense that's being said in general on other platforms. Right? We're not going to concern ourselves too much with that, um, particularly with some of the nonsense that Stephen A. Smith, for example, is saying. Um, we're not going to concern ourselves with that, but Kansas City Chiefs, I think they're having an interesting offseason, to say the least. The New York Jets, kind of a do or die. And speaking of do or die, Daniel Jones. And I think the New York Giants are now in position where talk about do or die. This is a make or break year for Daniel Jones. But first, Trae Young. And I'm seeing a lot of stuff in regards to Trae Young and his impending potential free agent destinations and whatever you may have. And he posted on the social media that and I'm pretty sure that's good English. But either way, he posted that and he let it be known that he's in Dallas, presumably to watch the game tonight, which we already picked, we already discussed and dissected. So go check out that video if you're interested in our take and in our picks for today's game in regards to that. But first of all, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, it's the second time I'm saying that phrase. No earmuffs, Joe. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, so we are here, and I kind of want to. This is going to be a heavy football day, Joe. We already gave our picks for this evening's game. Um, so what I want to focus on OTAs and football going on. But first, Trey Young. I don't love any destination spot for him, and truthfully, I don't understand a team that would want to have Trey Young. Can you think of a good spot for him potentially where it would be a good fit?
All right, well, I'll give you a pass because you said you don't love a spot, but a player with that much talent has a place in the league, obviously. Um, as far as where he would go, I personally, and I've said this before, like I personally want to see him on the Lakers just so that they can say they actually tried, and because the Russell Westbrook thing was more of a like a prayer. It was more like, okay, let's hope he is who he was on the great teams he was on, and not what he became afterwards. Um, I don't really count that as a solid effort in trying to get a third superstar, but we know the Lakers throughout the years have very rarely um, built through the draft. It's always been a free agent situation. They have very few homegrown talents, which is, I mean, for me, it's kind of surprising because that's like a place you want to live, a place that you want to like be a part of, and all that kind of jazz. But I think basically because they do so much trading and bringing in stars that way that they never have draft capital to actually build through the draft. So that could be part of the reason why there's so few homegrown talent there. That and the whole win now mentality also, um, has they basically live off of exceptions, minimum contracts, and whatever stars they happen to be rotating on a specific era of their existence. Since they're now living in the LeBron um, and Anthony Davis era. I personally just want to see Trae Young there, just for them to say, okay, we did actually give an effort on the whole 3-star idea. Um, and then when it blows up in their face, at least they can look back and say, all right, yeah, that blew up in our face, but at least we made the effort. um, so that's a place I'd like to see him. I don't like him anywhere that's going to super require him to. I like him in a place where they can hide him on defense. Basically, is is where I would like him. Yeah, somewhere that has a good interior post presence. Um, that if a guy blows past them, like there's a Rudy Gobert back there to cover for any mistakes he's bound to make on the defensive end. That's a place I like. I see a comment in the chat. San Antonio could be a place just because Wemby's going to be back there. But me personally, I don't like. I wouldn't want his energy being anywhere near Wemby. Um, if they're gonna make if the Spurs in particular are gonna make that move, they better be making it for the other guard on the Hawks, who's probably also up for grabs because I sincerely doubt both of them are gonna be there next year. Um, another place, gosh, Phoenix. I mean, they were a point guard. A lot of people will say they were a point guard away from being somewhat relevant in the postseason. Even if they had serviceable minutes there at point guard, there some will say maybe they have a better record during the regular season and maybe avoid a matchup that completely just annihilates them in the first round of the playoffs. So that's another place potentially. Definitely no cap room to fit him in there, so they'd have to do something maybe with one of those three. Um, Atlanta would be stupid to send or to take Beal back in that trade because I think that's the only way the money works there. Um, but yeah, I mean those are the. I know there's probably not places that you love, but a person of that talent, the amount of points he scores offensively, he definitely has a place in the league somewhere. Um, but those are the only ones that I really uh, see that are feasible.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Let me clarify my comment. Any place that is actually trying to contend in the playoffs, I don't love him anywhere. If he wants to go to the Wizards or to the Trailblazers where it doesn't matter, sure. But like genuinely, I don't love the baggage. I don't love his shot selection. He's a liability on defense. Like I don't see the plus side of bringing him in unless you have a veteran established backcourt presence, particularly on the defensive end, and then you need other players to sacrifice. Like that's why and we're about to invite E-Rock here. And that's why so Jordan saying Trae Young to San Antonio just to get under my skin. I absolutely hate that. Absolutely hate that. If you're the Lakers, yeah, sure. I guess you could say at least we tried, but we know that this is going to blow up in your face if you're the Lakers or if you're the Suns or really any contending good team. And so he's saying the Lakers or the Clippers. That's a non-starter for me. And then the Suns, great. A team that has zero ball movement as is now going to add Trae Young. I don't love it. I don't love it at all. But maybe I'm missing the boat on here on in some way, shape, or form. Way, shape, or form. Go ahead, E-Rock.
I'm welcome. Oh, well, I'm saying welcome. Hello, everyone. Hello. I was actually going to make a joke before he even said Phoenix because I was like, and then as soon as he said, I'm like, oh yes, a team with no defense. Let's add less defense. There we go. Let's just add less defense to the mix here. Oh man, uh, I actually have a couple of spots, and it's funny you mentioned one, and then this is like highly unlikely, but he actually, and it depends on what role if he's willing to embrace this role, is Minnesota wouldn't be a bad fit for him because they have an established defense and they do need another guard. Now, I can see him coming off the bench behind Ant,
Mm-mm.
but I mean I don't think he's at a point in his career, at a juncture that he's actually going to be able to be a choosy kind of person because they'll be lucky if they don't trade him to like I don't know like Brooklyn or something. So I don't know who they'd even get back in that trade. So I mean the Lakers don't make any sense. Clippers don't make any sense. The Warriors make some sort of sense, but I don't. I don't see what you get back for him. Or like, if you want to get rid of, I wouldn't trade. I would keep Clay before I'd keep him. Clay is still a better three shooter and a better. He's got more
Yes.
size. They also have more cohesiveness, and I don't think. I think that would be setting Draymond up for another Jordan Poole kind of situation with Trae. So I mean, now they could get Javante Murray. That's the guy. That's the guy I would want on my team. If any of the players on the Hawks, the Squawks, I would get Javante Murray. but I feel like they're not gonna unless he demands to get out of there, which is very possible. Then I don't see them moving on from Murray. So no, I mean maybe they'll trade him to the Wizards and they'll get Kuzma back or something like they'll get Kuzma in return or. But then they're just getting another person you can't defend, and can just shoot. So it's like you're really, what do you do? I don't know. There's really not a good fit for him anywhere.
Wow.
I mean, I guess if I think Minnesota would be the only one I can think of off the top of my head. That would be maybe Sacramento, maybe kind of a weird dark horse there, but it's kind of shifting to more defense again, like well to an extent. I mean, there's still teams like the Pacers and so but the big guys are coming back, and he's more of that. I hate to call him a relic 'cause he's still young, but he's kind of like a carryover from that all perimeter outside to inside game, like what Curry kind of brought forward into the league, and the Splash Brothers, and then other players became outside shooters. He's undersized, and even people like look at Ant and look at Jamal Murray. They're like stout, they're stout points. He's kind of like a lollipop stick that got dropped on the floor, got his hair all over it. So, so I mean, that's what he got dog hair all on his head. So that's what I don't know. He doesn't have a good fit. He'll probably wind up on somewhere. God, better not be the damn. Well, actually, he won't go to the Hornets because he hates the Hornets, and we hate him too. So it's actually perfect, because he can't beat us, which was just funny. We lost one game to him in two seasons, even with injuries. So I don't know. I'm gonna go with Minnesota, if anywhere, but we'll see. Maybe Sacramento.
Yeah. I don't mind that. I don't mind you saying Minnesota because my whole criticism of his, it kind of works out in terms of defense, shot selection, and needing the ball in your hands. So within that offense, I think that could possibly work. Would he be willing to play second fiddle to Anthony Edwards? I think that's doubtful at best. But you have the right idea, I think, E-Rock. I think you do. And so Jordan agrees with you. He also says he's out of jury duty. Go ahead, Joe. I said a lot in terms of your initial take, so go ahead, finish us up here on this topic. And or if you have nothing else to add there, Trae Young to the Knicks. If that were to somehow happen, right, you would hate it, no?
I will hate it because our team doesn't need a star. Everybody in the social media that I see talking about the Knicks wants to add another superstar to the team, and they're not understanding how it is that we got to where we are. We got to where we are because we have a lot of blue collar mentalities on that team. People willing to do the dirty work to get stuff done. That's not Trae Young. That's literally the complete opposite of Trae Young. So that's why I wouldn't see it as a fit for the Knicks. Plus, I mean, do we really want 45 minutes of Trae Young? We wouldn't get 45 minutes of Trae Young, first of all, because the minute Tibbs sees him play one defensive possession, he's going to be out the game and possibly out the rotation, and it's going to be a $35 million mistake that they just made. So exactly. That's those are reasons why it won't happen and it shouldn't happen. But as far as where he should go, I do agree that in terms of contending teams, there's not a lot of landing spots for him. I just my initial understanding of the premise of your argument didn't jive with what I was thinking as far as his value is in the league, because based on his offensive talent, forget about shot selection, things of that nature. I mean, the guy can put up points. And in a league that's averaging 110 to 115 points per game, you have to score to be able to win in this league. So I figured there will be a spot somewhere. But I do agree as far as the teams that are contending, I don't think any of them will say that they're a Trae Young away from being a championship contender. There's some players in this league that you just know, if they're a first option, if they're able to take a team to a championship, if they're a second option, would they be able to help take a team to a championship? That sort of deal, that sort of argument is always out there. And let's look at the Timberwolves, who are still in it. If they felt like Cat was the guy to be able to take them to a championship, you don't draft an Anthony Edwards. You see that he's an alpha. You see he's currently the leader of that team.
Oh, yeah.
And that's ultimately because they've seen the dance for 8 years with Cat leading the team, and they haven't gotten past the first. They haven't even gotten past the play-in game, first round situation, with him leading the team. So they saw enough there to know that they needed a different type of Cat to lead this, or dog, if you will, um, to lead this team. And I say all that to say Trae Young, we've seen enough with him and the Hawks, to say that he's probably not going to be a championship number one. I think a number 2 or 3 on a contending team would be a better situation for him. If for anything else, he'd be more efficient because he would have to then be a secondary option as opposed to the primary option, which would force him into a lot of 9 of 27 games, 8 for 24s, with a high turnover rate and low assist rate. And that's not a recipe for success.
I have 3 teams. I have 3 quick teams I'll drop in.
Yeah.
All right.
Go.
Think about this. One team that really needs offense, and they don't have like a really set point guard most of the time. Orlando would be an option. Cleveland might be an option if they're trying to trade. If they're trying to keep Don Mitchell, Don Perignon, then they're going to trade. And they've already said then Rich Paul already said they're going to trade Garland. So maybe Trae Young could fit in there, maybe start. And also Chicago might be another option as well.
I like Orlando.
Orlando makes the most sense to me though, because I was thinking Miami Heat. But I'm like, no, Heat culture would have Riley. Not to be confused with Pat Riley. It's his step cousin, Pete Riley. No, Pat Riley, man, he would chew him up and spit him out like tobacco.
No.
Ooh. Yeah, I think the only thing I worry about with Orlando is there are games where Paolo can be very inefficient, and that would give them 2 players with a little bit of inefficiency issues. And I'm just going based on like the playoff performances that I saw during this postseason, for Paolo in particular. But his addition could help each other be more efficient, because maybe they do a little bit less offensively, so there it balances itself out.
And it might help Cole Anthony's game as well, because Cole is more of Cole Anthony can shoot, but that's not his game is more of distribution. That's more of his thing. He's a big ass point guard. That's a big team in general. Huevos Banqueros is like big for his position, and Cole Anthony is big for a point guard. So I mean, they could actually use a true point, and maybe put him at the 2. I don't know, but those are the 3 destinations. Kind of flew under the radar.
Gentlemen, I think we're on the right track in terms of the fit needs to be there, and that's especially important for an undersized guard. So I think we're on the right track. I like some of the suggestions both you, Iraq, and you, Joe, came up with. And if nothing else, I like the mentality. But just plug and play Trae Young anywhere will not work. But the man who will have the final verdict on this. Go ahead, Jordan.
Put him on the Seattle Supersonics.
Yes, do it, NBA. Put him in the Sonics, baby. But yeah, Trae Young for me is like, I personally think the Clippers might take him just to have another star for their big 3 and such, like in case Harden Harden decide to do the fat suit again. But yeah, like he has a lot of people are going to go after him no matter what, because he has that potential. He has that star mentality, and teams are hungry for stars. As much as Gabe hates it, I wouldn't be shocked if San Antonio tried to go after him. I wouldn't be surprised if, at least a lot of the Western teams go after him, because he has that at least some of that decent offensive firepower, and that could do well, and that could mesh well with their systems.
You are one San Antonio Spurs slander away from the mute button, good sir. Don't worry, we are getting to your Giants here shortly. But first,
Oh god,
Kansas City Chiefs.
Now this,
Ah.
I have pieces on. This I have a lot to say on.
Go ahead, Jordan. Go ahead. I'll give you open reign here. Go ahead.
We're talking about Kansas City. Oh yeah, they're even with the chaos going on right now, with a lot of their players getting rested, with Harrison Butler being a GFD moron, and literally like putting himself out there, like literally his own the Kansas City Twitter literally they didn't even doubt it. They say, oh, he lives in the city, and people were like, oh my god, he's dead! Oh my god! Even though it's his town, not his actual address. But then again, people might say, oh my goodness, you don't know what that's. I'm like, shut up. But yeah, they have like one player that can literally lead them to another Super Bowl. Pat Mahomes, baby. He will turn donkey poop into magic, and we all just gotta like it. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Coincidentally, Jordan, that's what I tell others when I show them our podcast. I use the exact same metaphor. So, but go ahead, good. Joe. What are your thoughts on the Chiefs?
That was good.
Yeah, I did miss the premise. Just logging back in. Are we asking their projection for the season, or?
I literally gave Jordan open reign, and more or less, I'm focused on all the offseason noise. But if you think they can three-peat, or if you don't think they can three-peat, whatever direction you want to take it in.
I already know where this is going.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to bet against a quarterback of his caliber, especially with the weapons that he had to work with last year and making it work. And then you get an Xavier Worthy to add to that lineup, and you hope you get at least 8 weeks from Rashee Rice, arguably still one of the best tight ends in the game, in Kelsey. You're always going to be in games. I worry about their defense heading into this season just because of what's gone now, as far as Snead is concerned. Replacing him is going to be important. The cornerback position is very important to what Spags does on defense because he's going to blitz, he's going to pressure the quarterback, and he's going to need to be able to depend on the back end to be able to hold their positions and be in the right places at the right time. So that's very important to how he runs his scheme. That being said, I mean, if they get home, then it ultimately doesn't matter. But right. a lot of teams in the AFC are either trying to load up on the O-line or trying to improve on the O-line just because they know that's going to be a situation. You look at the Jets last season, the horrible season they had. They've got Aaron coming back this year, and it's going to be very important for them to protect him in order for them to be successful. And they spent a lot of money. They spent a lot of draft capital trying to boost that offensive line. So plus you also have the Harbaughs out there. They know that the line of scrimmage is important. They've grown on that. They've literally been built from the womb that you have to win at the line of scrimmage in order to be successful in this league. So the Chargers in Baltimore, they're also going to be improved there on the line. So these are teams that the Chiefs are going to run into. They're going to get the Chargers twice just by matter of being in the division. They may see the others in the playoffs. It's going to be very important that the back end of that defense holds. But I'm definitely interested in seeing the jump for Pacheco this year. First year was, hey, wow, surprise, Rutgers late round. This is awesome. Last year, people knew who he was. And he still went on a pretty decent run there in the second half of the season into the postseason. Year 3 now. I want to see where he goes. Is he going to be a 1,200 double-digit person? will Andy Reid allow that to happen? Because we know Andy Reid, for at least the majority of his coaching career, has been allergic to the running game. You want to be able to see that balance, and that balance, worked for them in winning a championship last year. Let's see if they're able to keep that balance. They kept a lot of continuity there. They brought back Clyde as the number 2 back. They have Pacheco. So that 1-2 is continuity is also important. But man, I really love that element, bringing Worthy in here, because it gives the deep ball a chance if he has hands. That's the one thing that I worry about. And they already had that issue with Marquez, and then that's the reason why Worthy's even on the team, is because Marquez didn't work out. Even though he did have the one saving grace catch when they absolutely needed it during the postseason. So we do appreciate that, but he wasn't consistent enough to stay to have a role on this team moving forward. But if Worthy has hands and can give them 65 and like 800, the combination of Brown and Rice keeps Kelsey fresh later on in the year. Maybe they don't need him as much during the regular season. Have that kind of like the load management, in the sense that maybe you can take some plays and have them directed towards the other weapons, have a little bit more balanced distribution there, and it can keep all of your weapons fresh for the postseason run. But they definitely can do it. I think we should actually pick odds here to see if the Chiefs are more likely to three-peat or the Huskies. That'd be a pretty interesting wager.
I like to shout out to Andre. I think he'd be in on that too. Go ahead, Iraq.
All right, so I got 3 things to rebut here. Valdez Scantley is actually still. They re-signed him. He is on the team this year. So he's
really?
Oh, yeah. They re-signed. That was months ago. Yeah, or a couple months ago. They re-signed him to a 1-year contract. So MDV or Valdez MVS. Yeah, but yeah. So he's on the team. At least last time I checked, unless that was before the draft. So I don't think they revoked his contract.
I got him on the Bills, buddy. But go ahead.
Really?
Yeah, same.
Really? Oh, maybe I'm thinking of Kadarius Toney or something. I don't know. Who knows? One of the guys who can't catch. I don't know. But I'm not worried about that. And even with that, all right, their defense, yeah, they lost Darius Sneed, or Kadarius, or whatever. They lost
Ladarius Sneed.
The
secondary.
Yeah. They lost him, but yeah, that they kept the better player. They kept Chris Jones, and that was their bread and butter and their cornerbacks were actually, they had the youngest defense that was in the top 5 last year, and it was top 3 actually. And their cornerbacks held it down, and even without Sneed, they still drafted. They draft very well on both sides of the ball, but especially on defense.
Beach is so good.
Say what?
No, I was just saying Beach is so good.
Yeah, I mean, they got Sneed is good. Don't get it twisted, but they drafted Sneed, and finally they had to choose between him and a rookie contract. But they were going to tag him, but they did the right thing. They signed. They did right by him. They gave him another place somewhere else where he got paid, and they got Hollywood Brown. They got Xavier from Texas. They got. Yeah, I was just calling by his name. I was calling by the familiar.
Yeah, dang, Jordan, dang.
Patrick
Mahomes. You can never say Patrick. It's always Patrick Mahomes, Iraq.
Okay, actually, because he said he doesn't want. Because he even said he's don't call me Pat Mahomes. That's my father. I'm like, well,
that's
right,
that ain't.
So I just call him Mahomie. That's what I call him. But no, I mean, in their offensive line is still really good. They've replaced the missing link. Like this team is better than last year's team. Going into this season, this team, and they still got Noah Gray as their other tight end. They got a stat, and they got Edwards-Helaire, like I said, as a backup running back. Pacheco, I agree with. This is a better team than last year, which makes it even more dangerous. And Andy Reid, it's not that he's allergic to the run. He does prefer the West Coast offense, but look at last year. He's also this is why he's the best coach in the NFL, because his best thing is he adapts. He could see that it was a defensive-driven team. So, and then Matt Nagy came up with well, I think it was probably more Andy Reid than Matt Nagy. But he said, all right, we're just going to get back to we're having trouble with the pass game, which is weird enough. So we're going to run the crap out of Pacheco because that dude runs hard as hell.
Mm-hmm.
He reminds me like the way he runs like early Zeke Elliott, but he's smaller. Where he just like puts his shoulders down. He's not like Le'Veon Bell. Like Le'Veon Bell is one of my favorite running backs to watch because he'd be patient. Then once he hit, I would see games where his shoulder, his jersey on his shoulder would be ripped off because he just led with the shoulder. He would look and punch him like in the shoulder with the shoulder there. So, but Pacheco is more of like early Zeke Elliott style, but just smaller. So I think this team is definitely destined to be a three-peat. I would take that money. I would take that bet against the Huskies just because there are more teams there are more teams to go against in the field. And I think there's more next year in the NCAA tournament. So I would take the it'll be up to like 89 or something. I don't know, 88 or 90. I don't know. So I'm like 105 and whatever.
Yeah.
So
I can hear Andre like, what did you about to say again?
I mean, numbers don't lie. Well, numbers can lie, but in this situation, if I'm taking the field, I'm taking 32 teams to 200 teams.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
And it's also recruiting, transfer portals, and and it's still early to tell. But UConn is still, they're my favorite they're my favorite to win it. Other than the Tar Heels, they're gonna win it, but that's gonna be different. Tar Heels are gonna win the championship, but I got the Chiefs three-peating, man. First three-peat in NFL history?
Yeah, maybe the Cowboys did it back in the day, but I can't. Either way,
it was 2-2.
But either way,
yeah.
I mean, I don't. That's off the top of my head. I don't know. I want to say someone three-peated before, but for sure not in recent modern NFL history. But so either way, the point stands. It would be quite a feat. Let's move on to the New York Jets. Now, this is something that really hits to home right here, and it's because again. We all of us got into this for different reasons. For me personally, I got into this because I was tired of seeing stupidity on networks such as ESPN and in the Twitter sphere, for example. And it gets engagement, and people just agree with it blindly. So tell me if I'm totally off base here or not. This is PFF, Pro Football Focus, who people will point to as an authority. Look! They have the New York Jets as the second best AFC roster. I don't know if I even have them top 10 best roster. They're for sure not number 2. Tell me if I'm right. Tell me if I'm wrong. Am I onto something here? The New York Jets are not the second best AFC roster. Let's go back around the horn. E-Rock, you first.
Well, okay. In terms of skill positions, if this was 7-on-7 and there was no rush, there was no blitzing or rushing or whatever, it was just straight skeleton 7-on-7, then maybe they're in the top 5, maybe, because they do have such skilled positions, really talented skill positions. But you can't, and their defense is overall is tremendous. But they're forgetting about there's this big key that you have to do in a football game, like a full contact football game. And it's the reason why their quarterback, their 20-year quarterback, got his heel ripped off last year. That's because their O-line is ass. Their O-line is terrible, and that should lower them to at least 7 or 8 on paper alone. On paper alone, it should be 7 or 8. Because Tyron Smith, okay, when was the last time he finished this season? The other guy on the other side, when was the last time he finished this season? The only one who's reliable on their offensive line, I think, is their center. Can't remember his name. I don't remember their names off the top of my head. Tyron Smith, I just remember because he was on the Cowboys and people always
Joe Tipperman he was a guard, but he's going to be the center.
Yeah, either way, they have one, maybe 2 decent O linemen. One good one decent one.
And they drafted a tackle. That's the thing.
They did, but it's they drafted a left tackle. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, but let's pump our brakes. 2 is Baltimore's number 2. Baltimore is easily number 2. I don't even see it being close. On paper, Baltimore's number 2. And again, we're going on just on paper. I would put Miami at possibly 3. Miami at 3, possibly. That's like, it gets murky, but definitely Baltimore's 2. I mean, it's just like, but it's, and then it gets into semantics. Like, you can go with all that, but you're going skill position. That's absurd. That's absurdity.
Go ahead, Joe.
Good
Well,
Lord.
I still have a heartbeat.
I mean, I don't love it. I also don't love them being seen as an authority, and there are many retired or unretired players who also believe it's a bunch of bull that comes out of there. Namely, JJ Watt has been very vocal about how he feels about PFF being an authority. Very vocal. Shout out to the Pat McAfee show.
Yes.
He and I mean, for those reasons alone, you kind of just take information that comes out of there with a grain of salt. I will say that they did do a decent job addressing some issues, whether that be free agency or in the draft. I do love the Olu pick from Penn State. I love the Corley pick. And getting him where they got him. I believe they had to trade up to get him. But I do believe that inserting some youth in there is important. Keep them all on the same timeline. Keep the skill positions fresh. I even love the Allen pick. Shout out to the Big Ten. Big bruising back. Could be used in the short yardage situation, goal line. Keep Brees out of harm's way in the sense, just trying to knuckle up from the 1 to from the 5. He's gonna have. I mean, for me personally, I think he had a hell of a year considering what he was coming off of. He went right out of the gates to the point where it made Dalvin Cook's presence irrelevant. I do agree that as a veteran, you want to get the reps. You want, you kind of need, and this goes back to an argument I've made in basketball where people aren't using the off season to get ready for the season. They're using the training camp to get ready for the season. So in that situation, maybe Cook was hoping to get reps early to get him into where he wanted to be, and ultimately the Brees was just so awesome in the time they were giving him early that they just decided to run with it. It's like, yeah, he's fine, go for it. But I do like that pickup just it keeps them out of super hard contact situations if they don't have to. But number 2 in the conference, when they were quite possibly the worst football team last year, versus expectations. Yeah, and I get it. Aaron plays 4 plays, and the whole offense is built around what he can do as a quarterback. Yeah, I get all that, and I understand all that. But all that being said, I think it's analysis malpractice to put the Jets so high up on that list.
Yeah,
especially the AFC. I think the bottom teams are bad and should be considered not part of this conversation at all. But if you go toward the middle of the AFC and up, those are really good teams in the NFL. And so to have the Jets be the cream of the crop in the AFC toward the top is just complete lunacy. That's what I think. Go ahead, Jordan.
Okay, I'm just gonna Number 2. Oh my god! Number 2 overall. Jesus Christ!
I can't tell if it's a real laugh or
over Baltimore, in which they literally still have the same roster. Like the Ravens were the first overall. They were the 1 seed in the AFC. Like they were breaking Super Bowl contenders before they choke in the championship game. Like, yet you picked a team that has flaws and that had the same offensive coordinator that was making dumb plays Denver with Denver, Jacksonville, and with the Bills in the past, and he only got hired because he's Aaron Rodgers' buddy. You still have a flawed offensive interior line game. Elijah Vieira Tucker has not played a full season.
Mm-hmm.
Tyron Smith, he was a great tackle. Has not fully played a season. You have Mike Williams, great skill player, great receiver, but has he played a full? Will he be fully healthy throughout the season? You have Aaron Rodgers, who's going to be in this, I think, either his 20th or 21st season, that is coming out of an Achilles injury, and yet you fully expect him to play 17, 18 games? Are you kidding me? I get it. Their defense is amazing. Even though they lost Bryce Huff, they added Hassan Reddick from Philly. Great. Their secondary is still one of the deadly secondaries in the game. Great. But you still have those flaws, those question marks on the offense. Like, the fact that you rank them over Baltimore is a crime against humanity, and you should literally get sent to the Hague at this point. Because my God, Texans is the Texans are better than the Jets. Like, I personally will rank the Chiefs at 1, Baltimore 2, Texans 3, Bengals 4, and Miami 5 because of their skill set and players. Like, if you're judging on that alone, that should be your top 5. Should be your top 5. And if the Jets are fully healthy, they should at least be like 6 or 7, at least 6 above Buffalo, because Buffalo's roster, it's a little for me personally, but like, oh my God, no, just bruh.
Absolutely, Jordan. I mean, if they had put the Jets like 6, 7 or lower, this isn't a segment today. But they put them number 2, and so good job, PFF. Good job. Now we're talking about it. So I guess mission accomplished. We're gonna have Jordan end on this one. Joe, I want to go to you first. I don't know if you saw the clip or not, but Daniel Jones is out there at OTAs, and who was it? DeVito is out there. He's like, he sees the long pass. He's like, go. He sees it, and the check down king does what he does best. And then in general, we have the team giving, in my opinion, almost too much support for their quarterback, just in terms of words. But regardless, whether I'm looking way too much into that or not, the point stands is I think this is a do or die season for Daniel Jones. Like, we need to see him elevate others and have a good season. And if not, the Giants, they have to move on. They have to admit that they made a mistake with Daniel Jones, because this is going nowhere fast, in my opinion. But what do you read on this situation? Let's go, Joe, first, then you, Rocket, and Jordan. This is your team, so we'll have you close it up.
Honestly, I'm really looking forward to next season's college football season. I think what's going to happen is this 12-team playoff is going to be amazing. The main thing that I'm looking at towards that season, Gabe, and don't worry, I'm about to tie it up. I'm looking at the quarterbacks. All right, I'm looking at the quarterbacks because I need to know what's in the offering for us moving forward, because this is gonna be the most amazing. And shout out to Connor on the Pat McAfee show. When he knew that the Patriots were destined for 3-14, he was watching the quarterbacks, and he was watching to see who they could potentially. I'm going to adopt that same strategy during our 3-14 season this year. I'm going to be watching the quarterbacks this year, because next year we're going to have a top 3 pick, and we're going to have the pick of the litter as far as quarterbacks concerns, because there's nothing that is in that current quarterback room, whether it's Tommy Cutlets, whether it's Drew Lock and Key, where did his talent go, or whether it's Daniel bum-ass Jones. There's nothing in that quarterback room that suggests to me that we're going to win more than 3 games. And that's not me hating on my team. That's not me crapping while they're down or kicking them while they're down. This is me being very realistic about what I see and what I have seen in the last 2 seasons, and just in general from my squad since Eli retired. This has been the case since the beginning and the end of our time as a relevant sports franchise in this league. And so, based on that information, we did some things on the O line. Is it enough to keep our quarterbacks upright? Maybe, maybe not. But the fact of the matter is, unless our quarterbacks know where the weapons are going to be and actually throw to where they're going to go instead of throwing at them and letting interceptions happen or throwing ducks out there, nothing's going to change for this franchise. So I say all that to say, I have if we were gonna take a 0 to 10, where's my faith meter in the Giants quarterback room? I'm burning. I'm burning because the flames of hell have succumbed every bit of faith that I've had in the quarterback room for the New York Giants. And that's really all I have to say about that.
Anything else to add? No, I love that, Joe. I love that.
I mean, he's like,
and you know,
he goes on a tirade. It's like, that's all I got to say.
and you know, shout out to you, Joe, because you learned from the painful experience of New England Patriots fans. Granted, it hasn't been that long of a painful experience, but you watch what Connor did on the Pat McAfee show. You're developing the same strategy. I think it's
Honestly,
sound.
and they have Drake made a show.
Yes, and here at Curious Sports Pulse, we support growth in all forms. So well done to you, Joe. Well done to you, Joe. Go ahead, E-Rock.
Not much I can really add. That's actually, I mean, to the response of you saying this is a make or break year for Daniel Jones, my answer would be, duh. should have been this year. Should have been this past year. I mean, this was a quarterback-rich class. I mean, granted, I know you got a good receiver, but yeah, I mean, I don't see where this team really thrives right now at all. In fact, they lost Saquon Barkley, and I bet, that's, say what you will, you're like, hey, let's give Daniel Jones an extension. Let's not sign Saquon. There you go. That's always smart. Let's get our
E-Rock, let me ask you this then. E-Rock. Brian Daboll, does he deserve a pass for this upcoming year, or is he too on the hot seat in your eyes?
He was on the hot seat to me last year, but I thought that anyway. I'm critical. I felt like I was a New York fan because I'm like, oh, get his damn job, go for his job. This is 100%. Him and Daniel Jones are like, they're hand in hand this year. Whatever happens this year, and same with the GM. All three of them are on the hot seat this year. So, all three of them. This is like they're all going where they go. They all go. Where one goes, they all go. No, you can wave your hand all around, Jordan. It's cool. I'm telling you now. You can. I don't know if your hand fell asleep or something, but I don't know what you're doing. But, hey, no, they're on the hot seat. Maybe the GM's a little bit is on the safer side, but nah, Daboll is on the hot. I think they're all hand in hand on. They better win at least 7 games. That's what they better win, because they're not going to.
Oh,
they better win 7 games, because if they don't win 7 games, that's it. That's no cap, bro.
E-Rock coming straight into the New Yorkers' lion den. I love it. Jordan, I don't know if you're trying to do a magic trick, or if you had induced Parkinson's all of a sudden. But go ahead. What's your take?
No. I'm about to do 7 games. You'll be looking to win like the same amount, 6 games. Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm just gonna take this because that's why I need to watch this season, because Jesus Christ, like you're watching. I was watching it OTA. I was like, Tommy was literally trying to help you out, and you're going for a check down. Like Daniel Jones' make a break was in 2022, because we declined his 5th-year option. Like, I want him gone at the 2021. He was bad. He was that bad. Like, Jesus Christ. And then all of a sudden, oh yeah, he had 15 touchdowns. Oh great. You know what? Amazing. You know what? You get $160 million extension. Barkley, we'll franchise tag you, bro. Like, thankfully, we could come after this year. That's the thing. We could come after this year and get like at least like a debt cap of like 8 million, 11 million ish. Because fuck, fudging heck, like when you're like, oh my god, I can't like. You were last year. Jones was 1-5 in 2023. 1-5, and that win was against the Cardinals. He was disaster.
We
He was
down
disaster. He was
points in that game.
20. It's exactly, Joe. The entire team pissed away like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 winnable games. Like I doubt we even get that because again the Giants have a lot of holes. Like, and at least we try to address like defensive every game. Brian Burns, that's fine. We're improving the defensive front. Your offensive line still has holes in it. Evan Neal is not a right tackle. He's a left tackle. He should at least get the guard because he needs them. But he's more of a run blocker instead of a pass blocker. And you have your weapons are still. Oh wow, yeah, Malik Neighbors. Your wide receiver 2 is Darius Slayton and his stone hands. Jalen Hyatt, he has great speed, but the quarterback is still booty. You have a lot. You have Isaiah Hodgins at your slot receiver. Darren Waller is literally making rap videos. He's making diss tracks about his ex-wife and playing the game. And you have the white tight end Daniel Bellinger who can barely even block. You have your quarterback Drew is literally Jones. Drew, yeah, hyped up block and Tommy gosh darn Cutlets. And when Tommy Cutlet is literally giving you the goal pass, like throw it forward, and you do the check down.
You know,
what did I say about you? Jesus Christ!
We had a Sesame Street moment a second ago. It was like we had 1 game, 2 game, 3 game, 4, 5 losses that were supposed to be winnable games. Oh.
Exactly.
More holes in the
Gentlemen, we got to get out of here. Plug whatever you need to plug. Closing prompt if you don't have anything you need to plug or want to plug, whatever. Closing prompt if you need it. A team who went 500 or worse last year who could potentially make that jump. Go ahead. Let's go, Joe, Iraq, and Jordan.
Man. Tough for me. But I'll pick a team that I really, really just like their vibe, and I want to see them do well. The Raiders. I think the Raiders.
What? Hello?
Oh no, Joe.
No.
All right. We'll see if Joe can return here in a moment. Go ahead, Iraq.
He invoked the name Raiders, and I guess that just crashed his computer. Oh, there he is.
No, go ahead, Iraq.
All right, I'll go ahead. All right. Pleasure being on here. Living at 09. That's where you can catch me. You can catch us also. Most of us most of the time on directly after this, actually, at least soon after this, on Scoutcast Media Presents, in this case, I was going to say slash paint. Say paint to paint. Excuse me. It's not slash paint anymore. It's paint to paint. It's better, actually. It's better. What can I say? Slash the paint was awesome. Paint to paint's just that. It's just that. It's that ish, dude. It's that jam. We slap like that. Bam. So I want to give a shout out to that. I also want to give a shout out to Scotty Scheffler getting off the hook for something that should have never been a hook anyway. So good. So I want to give that shout out to him, and I'll see y'all very soon. I was going to do it again. Paint to paint, baby. Scoutcast Media. Get ready for baseball content and shows coming up in the near future, and we're going to give Joe a chance. We're going to do Joe's chance to talk about hockey. That's going to be a new segment on Paint to Paint, except it'll be Ice like Joe talks about hockey, or whoever wants to, because I'm not as good at it. Everyone needs to be informed. All right, everyone, thank you so much. Thanks, Gabe. Thanks, Jordan.
See you, Rock. Go ahead, Jordan.
Yeah, Joe was actually stole my. I was about to steal him. Well, Joe's answer was the same as my answer. The Raiders. I do think there are going to be in 500. I do think there are going to be in 500, even with the offense being a legitimate question mark. Like, who's your quarterback going to be? Is it, because I think Gardner Minshew is a good, a fringe starting quarterback because he has that experience and such. But I do love their improving defense. I do love their buys in general. And I do think Antonio Pierce is going to be a good head coach, is a better head coach than people think he is. But either way, they're my sleeper team to be to sneak into the playoffs. And another team that I really do think is going to do better, the Chicago Bears. Their offense is going to legitimately improve. Caleb Williams is going to help them at least get to 9 wins. They might miss. I think they are going to miss the playoff, but by at least one game. But I do think they are going to improve, definitely, in my opinion.
Okay, there you go. There we go, Jordan. And then let's see if I can get this correct this time. Go see Jordan and all of his amazingness and all of his. Check out his Twitter, JCRamos6898. That is probably the number one platform in my opinion on Twitter, or the number one account. So go check it out. See you, Jordan.
All right, see you, man.
Yep. Shout out to Rock. Shout out to Jordan. Shout out to Joe for coming on. I'm not saying that this is who I like, but I kind of like the Tennessee Titans, not in terms of are they going to make the playoffs or are they going to be this year's Texans, but outside of quarterback, I like everything else that they've been doing. So as soon as they get the quarterback position, I think it's game over. I really like the Tennessee Titans. Everything else, position 2 through position 53, you like. It's the quarterback that they need to solve. But either way, tune into Scoutcast_Media Hub. That's the account on YouTube. For the next show, all the great work E-Rock's doing out there. Shout out Jordan again, E-Rock, and Joe. Until next